Hi, everyone who's tuning in. My name is Georgina Pazcoguin, and I am the co-founder of Final Bow for Yellowface. And here on the call with me is Phil Chan
Hello.
and William Lin-Yee. And we are here to have a daily conversation with a dancer of Asian descent during the month of May for Asian Pacific Heritage Month. And it's to highlight the achievements and experiences of Asians in dance. And thank you so much for joining us. Phil and Will is really gonna mess me up this whole interview. I'm just gonna say that right now. But like, Will dances for PNB, but Will and I go way, way back to the School of American Ballet Circle. What year? Do you know?
Well, was it summer of 2000, I think?
Yeah, it was pre 9/11.
Pre
In
9/11,
the
yeah.
year 2000.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, my first summer. Yeah, I remember. You were there.
How
I
center
still
stage
have
are
all
you
these old
guys?
photos.
I do have all the photos too. I have a whole album of that summer. That was a good
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah. All those summers were great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So without further ado, I'm gonna ask you some questions. You're gonna answer it. First question, I'm just right off the bat. Like, what are some of your favorite works to dance at PNB, and what are you missing right now in this current pandemic that we are experiencing, in which we cannot do what we love?
Well, right now I think we would be on layoff, but we'd be coming back for Crystal Pite. Oh man, I'm totally just blanking on Plot Point. Which is basically like she used American Psycho soundtrack and kind of just created this like whole like storyboard of a ballet, which was just really cool. So we're missing that, and then Twyla Tharp's Waiting at the Station, and then Ed Liang was actually going to be choreographing a new piece for us, a world premiere.
Oh, wow.
That we're also missing. So that was actually a rep that I was really looking forward to, and it's just unfortunate that we had to cancel it. But I mean, things that I missed from PNB is just the diversity and variety of different type of pieces that we're able to do, from classical, neoclassical to modern contemporary. Just such a wide range of rep. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, I feel you on that front. Like, it's mostly the new ballets with like that process of creation and being in the studio. That's something that I like really look forward to in my particular space that I'm in as an artist right now. So it's a bummer. And can you remind me and the viewers like when your season normally runs? Because it's different than New York City Ballet.
Oh
And
yeah.
this is also educational to me too.
It kind of varies depending on if we have tours or not, but it usually starts around August, and we usually go until about the first week or two of June. So
Okay.
a good amount of time.
All right. Very cool. Next, on to the next question. What made you, start to want to dance? Start dance training? Was it your parents? Was it you? Like, tell us.
It was my mother actually. She likes to take adult ballet classes, so she would do that every Sunday, maybe a couple more times throughout the week, and she would bring my brother and I to the studio, and we'd be playing Game Boy, outside, and while she was taking class, and we'd sometimes watch in. But there was one day where she was having a hard time doing a step. She had a hard time doing brise front, and she was kind of explaining to me the whole process of how to do it, and I kind of just did it. So she was kind of like, "Oh wow, like you picked that up really quickly. Would you like to try ballet?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I don't know. I feel like my power in the way was kind of just mimicking people. So it kind of helped. But just picking things up a little bit quicker. So yeah, I don't know. I always had fun just dancing around in the living room. So it kind of just worked out that ballet was my way into that.
Right. And from what I remember, it's like you always had a pretty fantastic jump, and you're quite tall.
Yeah, that helps
You were
out.
someone that was very like, you were high high value partner in partnering class.
Oh, yeah, because I am tall. I'm about 6'3". So I just remember back in the day of like jocks partnering classes. I don't know. I felt like back in the day, I didn't really see myself as a partner. I wanted to be more of the short guy, doing the tricks and being the jester and doing all that. But now that I'm older, I actually embrace the partnering more so than the tricks.
But I think you've kind of embraced both, because you're a beautiful dancer in your own right. I know there's a lot of male partners or male dancers that feel like they're just someone that carts around the ballerina, and I find it so special to not only see male dancers who can partner a woman with such grace and beauty and disappear when they're supposed to disappear, but then also step forward and have this wonderful quality when it's time for them to shine. And you definitely you express that, and like I miss seeing you dance. Like hopefully, is your company going to stream performances too this time, or is
Uh,
that like just a city ballet thing? I don't really know.
I'm not quite sure. I know that there's a lot of things going around with like waivers and just people.
Yes, the
So,
rights.
yes.
Gotcha.
There's so many different things that people need to go through. So yeah, I guess we'll
Right.
figure it out.
I guess
Yeah.
I'll just, when this is all over, I'm just gonna have to like get on a plane and go see my friends dance, which is something that I'm actually trying to not be a shitty friend
Mm,
and support my friend, my peoples in their
yeah.
endeavors, not only on
Yeah.
Broadway, but just like in the ballet world. I feel like we
Yeah.
all get so like single focused
No,
and
totally. I mean, we were supposed to tour to New York this summer, but that probably will not happen with everything that's going on. So
was that for the Joyce, or is that
uh,
at our
I think
theater
it was
at
at
the,
State Theater. Yeah. Um,
wow.
yeah, which has been really cool. I haven't been back there in forever.
Well, she'll still be there. She'll be waiting. And they
Yeah,
changed the
yeah.
name, by the way, to the David H. Cook Theater.
Oh, okay.
It's
Man,
fine.
well, I'm still gonna call.
She's always the State Theater to me.
Yeah, I'm always gonna
Um,
call it State Theater.
all right. Well, moving along into the next question. So we heard how you started your dance training, which is really a wonderful story. And what made you decide that you wanted to do this for a living, to make a career?
Uh, to be honest, I think it's because my mom said I can make money doing it. I can make money
Oh,
dancing. So I think the idea is just the fact that I was like, hey, I can make money doing something that I enjoy doing, as a passion. So I think that kind of helped. Um,
that's great. And was
yeah.
there a particular moment in your training, or is there something that was like, oh yeah, I actually can do this. I could pursue this as a viable means of making money.
I think it's when I skipped a level when I was younger. When they put you in like that pre-ballet or like that first level of ballet, and then they
Uh-huh.
have you skip a level, or depending on if you're coordinated or if you're able to pick things up. I think when I skipped a level and I started taking class and had no idea what any of the steps were, like run the Jean Monlaire, I was like, I don't know what that is or mean, and uh, I think from there I was kind of like, all right, I think I'm getting to the big boy, you know, big boy levels, and things are starting to look up. So I don't know. I mean, for the most part, I always try and just, followed my heart and kind of just enjoyed what I did, anything that I did. I try not to, um, think too much about it. And if I didn't like it, I didn't like it. But most of the time, I kind of enjoyed just moving around. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You're just very heart centered. So you just go where the heart takes you.
Yeah.
Great. Well, will you let our readers in, and no, I know, of course, but like, what is your ethnic cultural heritage, and to what degree are you connected to it?
I'm 100% Chinese. And I guess you would say I'm not super connected to it as most people are. I mean, mostly because I'm an ABC, American born Chinese, and I'm very American, you could say. So, I mean, I don't really celebrate holidays to begin with. Um, so I guess, uh, yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I'm not really fluent in Chinese either. I know a little bit here and there from when I was younger and took some Chinese classes, but as of now, I don't really have anyone to talk to, so I've kind of lost all of it. I used to go to China a lot when I was younger, and just not so much anymore, just due to having a career and a life now. But I don't know. I mean, I moved from California to New York when I was 15. So I felt like I was just, I mean, probably same with you. It's just, I felt like I was just kind of separated from my family
Right.
for all the time.
No, yeah, I'd like, and I don't think anyone should feel like sometimes I feel like a little shameful that I don't speak Tagalog, but I haven't taken any Filipino classes. I would love to now, but like, I find it like and I asked my dad actually, because my dad's Filipino, my mother's Italian, and I just asked him, I was like, why didn't you teach me Tagalog or Filipino? Like, what was that decision? And for him, it was to give me a chance to because this idea of like being American born and this idea of also like passing in the way that I looked, I think he definitely keyed into this fact, like, oh, like she can pass, why not raise her? But like, I view it now as like I would say it's a regret for me that I don't speak it, but I don't hold myself like that's not, I can change that now.
Yeah.
Did your mother speak to you, or she always spoke English?
Well, she would speak some Chinese here and there. She was more fluent than my father, definitely. But I think it was just a way of communication growing up. It was just easier to speak English. But I mean, of course, yeah. I think about it now, it's like, man, I wish she would have spoken more Chinese. As you're younger, you're able to pick it up a lot quicker. So, I don't know. I'll feel like I have the basics down in me. It's just no practice.
I mean, as is with anyone, like any sort of like second language, you have to practice it.
Yeah. Well, and also ballet,
Well, yeah, you have 3 languages going then, because it's like we generally understand French. And then, yeah. So you're farther along than me in those sorts of in the language area.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so talking about, being American-born Chinese, like, how do you think the ballet world is doing in terms of race and representation?
I think they're definitely doing better now, just with all the conversations that have been going on. I think people are definitely more open, or maybe just more aware as to what's going on. But I feel like it's just, the whole art form is kind of just, everything's just older, I guess you would say. So everything just hasn't some time to catch up. So the whole, the art form is very more traditional. And I feel like it's just, at the time, everything was kind of set for certain people, certain roles. And maybe it wasn't as diverse as it was before. Or as it is now. So it just probably makes it harder for, I don't really quite know. Because casting is just so hard, and it's hard to determine.
It's very subjective.
Yeah, no, very, very. Because you want to have the most qualified person to do the role, right? And sometimes, people would throw in other people just to kind of fit the mold, or fit what's new.
Do you find that in at PMB that dancers who originated a role, current casting likes to find people who physically look like that person that originated the role, or do you find that that's not necessarily the case?
Probably not necessarily the case. Peter Bull's very open about everything, so I feel like he's really trying not to see color, and it just helps with everything. But I think, I don't know, I feel like the company is also just very diverse to begin with, so
yes, for sure.
I I feel like there's not really much of a conversation for that. Not as much as when I was in City Ballet, I guess you would say.
Right. Well, then on that note, which brings me to my next question, like, have you had any experiences like involving Yellowface in ballet that you would feel comfortable sharing with us?
Trying to think. I probably think the most notable ballet that I guess resonated with me, or maybe I was just more sensitive back then, was do you remember Mother Goose?
Oh, I remember. This is exactly the story that I was hoping you were going to feel
Oh
comfortable
yeah.
sharing.
Oh man. Yeah, no, there was that section where I guess it was supposed to be an Asian person coming out with like the gong and everything.
Yes, yes.
I was casted for that, and at that time I just did not feel comfortable doing it. I think it was mostly because when you're kind of given these roles that represent your own culture, you want it to be strong. You want it to be you want to be confident when you do it. You don't want to feel weak. You don't want to feel like it's degrading, I guess. But I mean, I understand now that, like, in art and just in everything in general, sometimes you are there to play a role. So I understand that, but I felt like at the time I was sensitive, and I just didn't feel comfortable. And I remember going up to the ballet master and just being like, I do not feel comfortable with this. I feel slightly offended, but I also felt like the whole ballet was just offensive. So maybe that kind of just drove the whole idea of me just being like, I don't want to be part of this.
Right. Well, I mean, first of all, I want to say that your feelings are absolutely valid in that. And for those of us who are listening, we're referring to the Jerome Robbins ballet called Mother Goose, and it's a very deep cut. I think this happened during a Robbins festival or something, and it's like a take on fairy tales. And I particularly wasn't like, Maya Collins and I were like the quote unquote blackamoors. And
Yeah, yeah.
originally those two characters were in blackface. And so thank God that we were not asked to do that. But you were essentially asked to put on Yellowface. And do you remember, can you I know it was a very long time ago, and I don't even remember some of the choreography, but was there anything else beyond the garish sort of costuming that made you uncomfortable?
Um,
Uh,
I don't know. I think mostly for me, it was the movement, more so than the costume. Because I feel like even for like Chinese tea in Nutcracker, uh, I felt like the dancing was strong. Maybe
oh yeah.
the costume was offensive, you could say, but I felt like the dancing was strong, so I didn't have a hard time with that, because there's a lot of jumps, there's a lot of I don't know. I felt like it really showed off the men that would perform it. Um, so I don't know. I feel like now it's more like if there's a certain role that I feel like there's some malicious intent behind it, then I do not feel comfortable. But uh, I don't know. I mean, I kind of understand why there are. I mean, I understand why there are these roles. It's just making it, you know, more appealing to the people that have to perform it and people that feel
Right.
like they are represented by it. Um, but I guess that's also for like movies and everything. So
Absolutely. What I admire so much about you and what you did in that particular instance is that you didn't talk to JP in a disrespectful way. You were very forthright in saying, um, because I believe Alan and I were still living together at that point. Like we were
oh, okay,
roommates.
yeah. I was trying to,
And
yeah.
like, and I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, because I was having my own experiences. And it's so interesting to me that in that particular environment of our company at that point, like, you, me, and Alan never really had a conversation about this. It was like kind
Mm.
of sort of always like, uh the elephant in the room. Do
Yeah.
you feel the same way? It's just like we were there, we like saw that we were different. We were made to like that is, and I don't know how to properly articulate it this morning. It's still early for us, but like
I know, I just woke up.
it's all good here. But I find what you did to be so courageous, and it's something that Phil and I have really made a point in our work with Final Bell for Yellowface to encourage dancers to, if they feel something, generally your instincts are correct. If it
Yeah.
feels wrong to you, then and you have and to teach dancers that they not only that they have the wherewithal, but we offer tools to bring up that conversation, which is really difficult. You did a
Yeah.
super brave thing. And so it's inspiring dancers to realize that they have a lot more say in what goes on. And that's like this also, like as dancers, we also want to be respectful of leadership and be respectful of how we're cast too, because, you know, like no one wants to say that like JP was racist in doing that. I don't think he was. I think he was just like, oh, this clearly makes sense, but he
Yeah,
didn't
I mean,
realize that.
I totally get it. I totally get it. I mean, it's, you know, you have like an Asian role, so it's like, yeah, throw an Asian in there. I mean, like you don't want to throw, you know, someone that's not Asian there because you feel like that could be offensive as well. But
Well,
it's so hard. It was just kind of hard. But yeah, I didn't want to yell at him. I just kind of took him aside and was just like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. Can we have someone else? So he had Alan do it. And and after Alan did it, I was kind of like, oh man, now I feel like I should have just done it.
no.
You know?
No, I don't think so. I think you did what you needed to do. You set your own boundaries with that.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, like, and when I had to perform tea with the company, I've been telling this story a number of times, like I didn't realize how offensive I thought it to be until, and I didn't have, it's not like I could turn Sterling or Stephanie and be like, let's talk about race. I mean, like we're in our 20s and that's
Yeah.
like a featured role, like Chinese is a featured role. And I didn't have a way to articulate myself the way that you did with Rosemary. I mean, she was scary at that point to me. So like,
Yeah.
And I found myself just doing the choreography so over the top to make it a caricature out of the caricature.
No,
That was
definitely.
that was my only way of, you know, pushing back against what I felt seemed like an inappropriate representation of race on stage. So like, I think, thank you so much for sharing that story. And yeah, and see, look, Will is your principal now.
Yeah. I also
He's a
find it.
principal of PMB. Come on, guys, you can speak up for yourselves.
I also find it just hard, you know, being a dancer trying to speak up just because you're so used to being told what to do all the time. You know, when you're younger, just, you know, being like, turn out your legs, you know, make sure you're in fifth, make sure, you know, your knees are straight, you know, make sure you're pulled up. All, you know, you're constantly being told what to do. So it just feels like you're going against the grain when you feel like you have something you want to say or discuss or kind of bring up, you know, some type of issue. So it's definitely hard, but I feel like for everyone out there, you know, if it feels wrong in your gut, just do it. Just you know, do what feels right.
And I find that like saying things from a place of compassion and not putting people on the defense, you know, like Phil and I speak about it. It's like if you immediately come up to someone and say like, this is racist, it shuts the conversation down automatically. And
Yeah, yeah.
just to be like, you know, this upsets me for reasons that I might even still be figuring out. And I know it wasn't your intent to make me upset, but I feel this way. Can we talk about things? Can we talk about things? I think that's a much more like, it keeps the conversation going. It's a positive way to bring up an issue, but not make the other person feel like an absolute crap hole.
Definitely.
So you kind of answered this already. Moving on to our next question. But if you can elaborate a little bit more, like how did your mom feel about you getting an apprenticeship with City Ballet and choosing this as a choosing a professional creative career as opposed to something else?
My mom was very supportive. My father was very supportive as well. He was kind of
Okay.
just in the background. But my mom was very supportive. I mean, just because she took ballet classes, so she had a passion for it. And I think for her, it was just like, she'll support whatever I have a passion for. Um, she's a good mom and great mom.
Oh, it's Mother's Day, guys. Remember, it's
Yeah.
coming up.
I know my brother usually buys the flowers and then says it's from both of us. So he's a good one.
Well, tell us, can you talk to us about your siblings? Like, do your siblings support your art? And
Yeah, I just have one brother. Did you meet him on one of the summers? You might have met him one of
I
the
don't,
summers.
maybe very
Um,
briefly, but
he did do ballet for a while, and then he kind of stopped and did the whole college route. So, but yeah, no, he's supportive. I mean, we're both supportive of each other.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I love to hear that. Okay. What sort of advice do you think you could give young dancers that are looking to have a professional career in dance?
Um, my biggest thing is you just have to enjoy it. I think, I mean, this profession is very hard to get into, but it's one of those things where you sit there and beat yourself up if things don't work out, and you're constantly just going to be beating yourself up, and you kind of just have to just enjoy it. Sometimes if you just enjoy it and do it more for you and not for anyone else, then you'll find the passion again, and I don't know, I think it changes the way how your energy is. Oh my gosh, I'm losing what I'm trying to say. I don't know. I feel like you just have to kind of just embrace it and just enjoy it. I think that's the biggest thing. I think you can't have people sitting there judging you, criticizing you. You can't take it too much to heart. Um, because in the end you just have to be happy.
Yeah, I echo what you said so much. I feel like what you were, it's such a career of passion, and so much of what we do, like, yes, we are on the stage and we are performing and we're out there for this audience, but it's so much a very individual experience, dance. I
Yeah.
find it. And so much beyond just the performance happens behind closed doors, and it, like you said, it's a lot of looking at oneself in the mirror and picking apart and constantly trying to achieve something that we're never going to achieve perfection. Like, ballet is not, our bodies weren't made to do ballet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's great advice to really do things out of love and
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, this career doesn't last forever anyway. So, if you start it, you just have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy it. I'm always preaching the journey and not the goal, because people just get so into their head and just trying to, like, make that principal dancer, or just trying to be the best and the best all the time, that they're not enjoying the whole process of dance, and the whole journey of the short career. So
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think
it
that's
is
very
so
important.
fleeting. You just like enjoy the journey, not the goal.
Yeah.
Like, that is so poignant. And would you mind sharing like a great memory of you being on the journey?
uh I think it was probably in my mid 20s when I didn't get promoted. I think it was at the point where I wasn't ever really looking for a promotion. I think it was just more, you're sitting there trying to work hard and trying to be seen and trying to be noticed, and then sometimes you realize that you get noticed when you just become yourself, and not trying to be someone that they want you to be. So I think there was just a mental change for me, where it just went from being frustrated, or just being stressed all the time, just trying to making sure that everything's going the way you want it to. And instead of that, just, waking up and be like, I get to go in and I get to dance for a living, and I don't have to sit at a desk, and I'm working out every day. This is life. I mean, I can't really complain. So,
Yeah, you've got a great head on your shoulders.
so
Good Lord. Yeah, it's a mind game. It's like, of course, we're all competitive creatures.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And like you said, it's a very hard art form to enter as a profession. And so like you get in that competitive mindset, and it's always about like, you know, there's also like playful competition and destructive competition. And I think especially when it comes to like you said it right, just finding that it's really your journey, your individual journey with it.
Yeah. And it's like you have to do it for yourself. I always tell, you know, my colleagues when we go on stage, because sometimes they'll be nervous that, you know, the ballet master's watching or the director's watching or someone's watching, and just being like, you know, you just have to do it for yourself, because you don't know when's the next time you're gonna be on stage. So you gotta enjoy just being out there and performing and doing what you love.
Right.
Forget everyone else. Forget everyone else. You know.
What was your last time on stage? That we didn't know was our last time on stage. Talk about
Oh man, it was Cinderella. Cinderella.
Really?
So yeah, I was just doing the father for Cinderella, just a character role. So I mean, I enjoyed the character roles. I enjoy the acting. But
So do I.
man,
I feel like there's a missed opportunity between us doing character roles.
oh,
like
I know.
That could have been something grand.
Oh man, we could have done something together.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
There's
We
never
can
too
figure
late.
out maybe we could do all the character roles like in our like areas here on our respective social distancing holes.
Yeah. Well, maybe when we're done, we'll just be
That's an idea.
principal character dancers.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so we're on our final question. What do you think is needed to build like a loyal, and it's important, we don't want to be ageist here, but like younger and more inclusive audience for dance to get, like, we need patrons that are going to bring us into the future. What do you think is needed, in your opinion?
First of all, your video has, I think it's better now. It was paused for a bit.
Did it come back?
I think you're good.
Oops, sorry. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No. Your audio was good. Okay. It's just your video. I wasn't sure what was up.
Excellent.
To build a younger audience, huh? It's kind of hard
to build a younger and loyal and more inclusive audience.
Well, first of all, I feel like the whole traditional classical ballet is it's just from a different time. So I feel like it doesn't appeal to the younger crowd with all the new type of dance that's popping up. So I definitely feel like the more contemporary or modern could probably pull in more of a younger crowd or a different crowd. But I think it's just, I don't know. It's kind of hard because P&B is just very diverse. So there's a lot of diversity that's being shown on stage. So I think it's kind of hard. I mean, it's nice to have also the new works, the new choreography that's going on, which could also help with bringing in new audiences. I'm not exactly sure. Without it feeling like, you know, we have to put certain races or certain people on a pedestal to try and help market performances. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like just having strong dancers and strong personalities can just help people see confidence in the dance role.
Yeah, you have such a wonderful personality. Do you feel like sometimes as dancers we're like held in this like ethereal realm that we're like, you know, we're like untouchables in a sense? Do you think it would help to make us more like, this is an attempt to show us who we really are and explain a different trajectory to ballet other than, you know, than our colleagues? And I think, like, do you think that would help bring in a younger audience, knowing that we're people too? Like, you know how like people read a People magazine to see like, oh, there's so and so picking up a banana.
Yeah. I mean, probably if they, I don't know. I feel like people always can relate to other people when they know what they do outside of dance. But of course, you know, that could be a touchy subject because some people, enjoy the
They're very
private life
private.
and don't want to share it. But like some people could just find similarities or just um, I don't know.
I mean, what, like I think I saw a post that Peter Bowl did on the Insta, and it was like dancers performing in a square. It was like near some water. Like that kind of
Oh,
outreach was like really great.
oh
And I
yeah.
think, can you explain what that was to me?
I think I know what you're talking about. If it's like near a big old fountain, was it near a big
Yes.
old fountain? Okay, so that's in the middle of Seattle Center. That's like right by where we work. So
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure.
They seemed to be in sneakers. Like no one was doing point shoe
Okay,
work.
okay. I know that there's a lot of like outreach dance programs that they do for low income housing or just like dance chants. So and everyone from like from schools, elementary schools could get a chance to dance and just kind of get the feel for moving around, um, which definitely helps.
Yeah, and that pulls people in, just like you got pulled in via like your mom. I think just like having
Yeah,
exposure out there in a very like non intimidating way of like, here's this big opera house and we're
yeah,
gonna yeah, like it's making it more accessible, and that you can also experience dance anywhere in your backyard at going for a walk. I think
yeah,
that those are wonderful ways to try to build new viewership, new
yeah,
patrons.
yeah, definitely. And I also feel like that now with all these ballet companies that, are ballet companies, I feel like we're not doing as much ballet as the title kind of says. Everyone's doing more contemporary and more modern within their rep to try and just change the whole feel of everything, to maybe just bring in a different type of crowd.
Okay,
Um,
so here's a question that just popped into my head, and I didn't mean to interrupt your thought there. Um, but if you were explaining what you did to like a little like a first grader boy, and like he saw what you did, he saw you do these like crazy amazing jumps, and he asked you like, what is this called? How would you describe it to him so that he could get a grasp?
uh, I guess I'd first have to explain what I did,
Yeah.
but then I don't know. I'd say that starts when you're young. It starts when you're young. A lot of training, like anything, any type of athlete, and if you enjoy it, I mean, it just goes back to the beginning. If you enjoy it, then go for it.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, I don't really know how to kind of explain it, but
I think just like that is fine. You just like you could do this too with
yeah,
some
practice,
practice, a lot of
a lot
practice.
of practice. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's within your grasp as well. Well, I thank you so much for waking up and doing this first thing in the morning for you.
Oh yeah, no problem.
And I just want to thank everyone who tuned in today for coming to listen. And make sure you check out our Instagram at Final Bow for Yellowface. We're going to reveal who's tomorrow's Dancers Chat will be right after this airs. And then tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time for the next chat. And Will would love any donations that might come in for anyone who feels inclined to help his dancer relief efforts for Pacific Northwest Ballet. I'll try to find some sort of way to put that in the links at the bottom to find it, unless you have that on hand. Do you? Pop
No,
quiz.
no,
Okay.
no. I do not. I do not. I do not.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Well, thank you so much. It's so great to connect. Can we not wait 20 years till we talk again?
Oh my gosh, I know. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of
It's so special. Take care.
fun.